Everyone gets the same 24 hours, but not everyone uses them the same way. Success isn't about having more time. It's about making better decisions with the time you have. You're not behind because you're not capable, you're behind because you're distracted. Master your time, and you'll master your life. Time is the one resource that every human being on this planet receives equally. It doesn't discriminate. No matter your background, your income, your social status, or your education, you get the same 24 hours in a day as the most successful person you admire. That's what makes time the ultimate equalizer. It is the only asset in life that can't be bought, borrowed, or stored. And yet how we use it determines everything. The difference between someone stuck in place and someone thriving isn't more talent or luck. It's how they choose to spend their time. Successful people aren't gifted more hours in the day. They simply make better use of the ones they have. They prioritize what matters most and ignore what doesn't. They don't waste hours scrolling, overthinking, or staying busy just to feel productive. They understand that activity is not the same as progress. Just because you're constantly doing something doesn't mean you're moving forward. Real growth and results come from focusing on high-impact activities, the few critical actions that actually push your life, your goals, and your dreams forward. Think about your own day. How much of your time is spent in reaction mode, responding to notifications, emails, distractions, or other people's priorities? How often do you finish a day feeling exhausted but unsure of what you actually accomplished? That's because being busy and being effective are not the same thing. The people who win in life are not those who do the most. They are those who do what matters most. They understand the power of intention. They know their goals, and they shape their days around them, not the other way around. Time, when used with clarity and purpose, multiplies your results. Every hour you spend focused on what truly matters compounds over time. It builds momentum, confidence, and direction. But time that is wasted on things that don't serve you, people who drain you, or habits that stall your growth, takes you further from the life you're trying to build. That's why mastering your time is non-negotiable if you want to level up in any area of your life. The truth is, no one is coming to give you more time. You will never find the time. You have to make it. You have to fight for it. Because the world will always offer distractions, and life will always get busy. But the person who learns to protect their time, who chooses discipline over ease, and who says no to the things that don't align, that person builds a life of freedom, not just survival. And freedom doesn't come from having no responsibilities. It comes from taking full ownership of your time. You stop blaming the world, the system, or your past. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You understand that you are in control of how you show up every single day. It might not always be easy, but it is always in your hands. If you're feeling overwhelmed or behind, start here, audit your time. Look closely at where your hours go. What's helping you grow? What's just draining your energy? Eliminate the distractions. Prioritize the meaningful. Create structure that supports your goals. Because every wasted hour is an opportunity lost, and every focused hour is a step closer to the life you want. Time is not the enemy, it's your most powerful ally, if you know how to use it. Stop treating it like it's unlimited. Stop giving it to things that don't deserve it. Start respecting it, managing it, and honoring it like the treasure it is. Because once it's gone, you don't get it back. The most successful people understand this deeply. They don't wait for the future, they use the present. And that's what sets them apart. You don't need more time. You just need to start using yours like it matters. Because it does. The 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle, is one of the most powerful concepts you can apply to your life if you want to become more productive and effective. The idea is simple. 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. In other words, not everything you do carries the same weight. A small portion of your actions actually creates the biggest impact. The key is to identify which tasks, habits, or decisions are part of that 20%, the ones that truly move the needle, and focus your energy on them. Most people waste time on activities that feel productive but don't produce real results. They stay busy instead of getting effective. They check emails obsessively, sit in meetings that go nowhere, or work on low-priority tasks just to avoid the uncomfortable but impactful ones. But high performers think differently. They understand that their time and energy are limited, so they invest it where it counts most. They look at their goals, break down what truly leads to progress, and double down on those specific things. Imagine you run a business. When you analyze the numbers, you might find that a small percentage of your customers generate most of your revenue. In your personal life, maybe a few key habits, like reading, exercising, or journaling, create most of your growth and peace of mind. In your career, a couple of core skills may be responsible for most of your success. When you recognize these high-return activities, you gain a tremendous advantage in clarity. You stop treating all tasks as equal. You learn to separate the urgent from the important, the noise from the signal. This principle doesn't just apply to business or work. It applies to every area of life. In relationships, a few meaningful conversations can build deep connection, while endless small talk doesn't do much. In health, a few consistent habits, like daily movement and whole foods, can deliver most of the benefits, far more than obsessing over every little detail. It's about working smarter, not just harder. It's about asking yourself, what are the few actions that generate the biggest return, and then being ruthless about prioritizing them. Applying the 80-20 rule requires discipline. It means letting go of the illusion that everything matters equally. It means cutting out distractions, saying no to tasks that don't align with your goals, and being okay with leaving some things undone, because they weren't contributing much anyway. That's not laziness, that's strategic living. You protect your energy by reserving it for what actually drives you forward. If you're feeling overwhelmed or constantly busy, the answer isn't necessarily to do more. The answer is to do less but better. Go through your daily routine and identify the things that bring you closer to your goals. What tasks give you the greatest results in the shortest time? What actions produce real change, growth, or success? Focus on those. Give them priority in your schedule, your attention, and your effort. One of the most freeing realizations you can have is that you don't need to master everything. You just need to master the right few things. The 80-20 rule gives you permission to stop trying to do it all. It gives you permission to simplify, to streamline, to sharpen your focus. It teaches you to become intentional, not just active. Success doesn't come from doing more, it comes from doing what matters most. If you commit to identifying and executing that powerful 20%, your life will transform. You'll move faster, feel lighter, and accomplish more with less stress. Because when you align your actions with your purpose and direct your energy toward what truly counts, you become unstoppable. Let others stay busy. You stay effective. That's the 80-20 way. One of the most powerful things you can do to take control of your life is to learn how to say no without feeling guilty. It's simple in theory, but difficult in practice, because we are wired to please, to be agreeable, to avoid disappointing others. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your goals or values, you're saying no to something that does. And over time, those small, quiet sacrifices pile up. You lose track of your priorities, your schedule becomes chaotic, and your energy gets drained by things that were never meant to be your responsibility in the first place. The truth is, you can't do everything. Your time is limited and your energy is finite. You have goals to reach, dreams to build, and a life to live. If you try to be everything for everyone, you end up being nothing for yourself. That's why you must learn to protect your time as if it were your most valuable asset, because it is. Unlike money, time can't be earned back once it's gone. Every hour you spend doing something you didn't want to do is an hour you'll never get back. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't mean you're selfish, rude, or arrogant. It means you understand the value of your time and the importance of your boundaries. It means you respect your own goals enough to not let them be derailed by every request or demand that comes your way. You don't owe anyone an explanation for prioritizing yourself. A simple, respectful no is more than enough. You are not required to stretch yourself thin for people who would never do the same for you. Too often, we say yes out of guilt. We fear rejection, judgment, or conflict. We think that if we say no, people will stop liking us, or that we'll be seen as unreliable. But people who truly respect you will understand your boundaries. They will admire you for being intentional, and the ones who don't, they were never concerned about your well-being to begin with. You don't need those kinds of people dictating how you use your time. Think about it. How many times have you said yes to something, only to regret it the moment you agreed? How many times have you overcommitted yourself and then felt frustrated, burnt out, or resentful? That feeling is your intuition telling you that your yes wasn't genuine. It was a compromise, not a commitment. And the more you ignore that feeling, the more disconnected you become from your own needs and purpose. The ability to say no is not just a skill. It's a form of self-respect. It's how you stay aligned with your values and protect your peace. It's how you create space for the things that actually matter. Every time you say no to something that drains you, you create space to say yes to something that fuels you. Whether that's rest, focus, family time, personal growth, or creative work, you allow yourself to breathe, reset, and grow. Start small. Practice saying no to little things, favors you can't afford, invitations that don't excite you, tasks that aren't your responsibility. Be honest, kind, and firm. You don't have to justify or over-explain. Your time belongs to you, and how you spend it is your choice. Once you develop the habit of saying no without guilt, you'll feel a shift in your life. You'll feel lighter, more in control, more grounded. Your yeses will become more powerful because they'll come from a place of purpose, not pressure. Learning to say no isn't about closing doors, it's about opening the right ones. It's about creating space in your life for the things that matter most. Because when you stop trying to please everyone, you start showing up fully for the life you were meant to live. You don't owe everyone a yes. That might be hard to accept at first, especially if you're someone who's used to putting others before yourself. But the truth is, constantly saying yes to others is the fastest way to say no to yourself. Every time you agree to something you didn't want to do, you're sacrificing a piece of your time, your focus and your energy, resources you can never get back. People may not always understand your boundaries, but that doesn't mean you're wrong for having them. Saying no isn't rejection, it's redirection toward your own growth, your peace and your purpose. When you feel guilty for saying no, remind yourself what you're saying yes to instead: your goals, your family, your mental health, your priorities. Every yes should be earned by alignment, not obligation. If you say yes to avoid conflict or please others, you're allowing guilt to control your time. And once guilt takes the wheel, your life starts heading in a direction that doesn't feel authentic. You begin to lose the version of you that once had a clear path. You begin to feel stretched, stressed, and unseen, not because others are bad, but because you forgot to guard your own space. Setting boundaries doesn't make you rude, it makes you responsible. You're not being selfish, you're being strategic. If you don't protect your schedule, someone else will fill it for you. And those people won't prioritize your dreams. They'll prioritize their own needs, using your time and energy to serve their goals. That's not sustainable, that's not healthy, that's not success. People who truly respect you will understand your no. They won't guilt trip you, manipulate you, or make you feel bad. They'll appreciate your clarity and your courage. And the ones who get upset, they're often the ones who benefited from your lack of boundaries in the first place. Don't let their discomfort be the reason you betray your own standards. Your time is a non-renewable resource. Every moment you spend on things that don't matter is a moment stolen from what does. You don't get to relive today. You don't get to undo an hour wasted in a meeting that didn't need you, or a conversation that drained you, or a favor you regretted agreeing to. Time only moves forward. You must choose what's worth your forward motion. You must prioritize what feeds your spirit, not just what feeds your image. When you reclaim your no, you reclaim your power. You begin to move with intention. You show up fully for the things that matter, because you're no longer diluted by distractions. You learn to say no to the party so you can say yes to the project. You say no to the chaos so you can say yes to your clarity. You say no to pleasing everyone so you can say yes to honoring yourself. Clarity is your compass, and boundaries are your shield. Use them both. Know where you're headed and what deserves your energy. Don't hand out yeses like candy. Give them to what aligns with your purpose, your peace, and your plan. The next time you feel the urge to say yes just to be liked, pause, breathe, ask yourself, is this helping me or hurting me? If it's draining, distracting, or delaying your vision, the answer is simple: say no. And say it without apology. Say it with strength. Because you don't owe everyone a yes. You owe yourself the truth. Perfectionism wastes time. It convinces you that you're not ready yet, that you need just a little more preparation, just a few more adjustments, just one more round of tweaks before you can begin. But that moment of just right rarely comes. Instead you wait, and while you're waiting, life moves on, opportunities pass, growth stalls. The perfect moment becomes a myth that holds you hostage in a cage built out of fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough. But the truth is, progress never needed perfection, it needed action. When you chase perfection, you often miss the power of momentum. Starting messy is better than not starting at all. Because when you take that first imperfect step, you learn, you grow, you adapt. You build confidence through doing, not through planning. Perfection is often an illusion we hide behind to avoid the vulnerability of starting. But growth only happens in motion, not in preparation. Done is better than perfect because progress opens doors that perfection only dreams about. Think about how many dreams die in notebooks. Ideas scribbled down, plans half finished, visions never executed. All because someone was waiting for the right time. But the right time is a decision, not a date. It's not something you wait for, it's something you choose. You don't need all the answers. You don't need everything figured out. You just need to begin. Start small, start scared, start unready. But start. That's how mastery is born. Through doing, failing, adjusting, and trying again. Perfectionism tells you that your work has to be flawless before it's valuable. But that's not how the world works. Some of the most impactful ideas, creations, and businesses started off rough. They improved over time. They evolved. What made them powerful wasn't their perfect start. It was the commitment to keep going, keep learning, and keep showing up. Waiting for perfection kills momentum. Action, even when imperfect, creates results. When you try to make everything flawless, you start to overthink. And overthinking is a form of self-sabotage. You question every detail, doubt every move, and eventually talk yourself out of the very thing you were excited about. Perfectionism creates analysis paralysis, a mental loop where nothing feels good enough to move forward. But the cure is simple action. Take the step, post the video, send the pitch, write the draft, learn as you go. Perfectionism is rooted in fear, but progress is rooted in courage. It takes bravery to be seen before you feel polished. It takes guts to release something that isn't flawless. But that courage is what builds confidence. The more you act, the more you grow. The more you grow, the more you improve. And that improvement compounds over time into excellence. Not perfection, but mastery. Done doesn't mean careless. It means you gave your best at this stage and you're willing to refine it as you evolve. Every version leads to a better one. Every draft becomes stronger with feedback. But if you never release the first version, you rob yourself of the wisdom that comes from real-world experience. The pursuit of perfect often becomes a trap that keeps you stuck in theory instead of reality. So stop waiting. Stop rehearsing for a stage that's already waiting for you to show up. Take the leap with your imperfect tools, your rough drafts, your shaky voice. Because once you start, momentum takes over. Improvement becomes natural. Progress becomes your habit. And eventually what once felt impossible becomes effortless. Not because you waited for perfect, but because you dared to begin without it. Perfectionism wastes time, but action creates life. Choose action. Let progress be your perfection. To-do lists may look productive, but they often lead to a scattered approach to your day. You jot down 10 tasks, maybe complete 3, and still end up feeling like you failed. Why? Because lists don't hold you accountable to time. They don't structure your energy. They don't demand focus. This is where time blocking becomes a game changer. Instead of asking, what do I have to do today? You start asking, when am I going to do it? That subtle shift in mindset changes everything. Time blocking is about assigning specific chunks of your day to specific tasks. You're not just deciding what needs to be done. You're declaring when it will be done. It's a commitment to focus. It eliminates the fog of multitasking and keeps your attention where it matters most. When your calendar tells you that from 900 to 1000 a.m., you're writing, you're not checking emails, scrolling your phone, or wondering what's next. You're writing, period. This strategy forces you to become aware of how you're spending your time. When you block your time hour by hour, you start noticing where your energy spikes and dips. You learn to match important tasks with your high energy hours. You also begin to see how much time you waste on low value distractions, unplanned conversations, or social media. With time blocking, there's no hiding. You either honored your schedule or you didn't. That level of clarity holds you accountable and builds discipline over time. Another powerful benefit of time blocking is that it protects your focus. In a world full of noise and interruption, having a set window for deep work is essential. You're telling the world and yourself that this block of time is sacred. It's a boundary. It's a contract with your future self. When others know you have focused time, they learn to respect it. When you know you've protected that space, you treat it with more seriousness. Unlike to-do lists, which grow endlessly and overwhelm you with vague intentions, time blocking creates clear structure. There's no room for, I'll get to it later, because everything already has a slot. This helps reduce procrastination. It removes the decision fatigue of constantly wondering what to do next. The day is already planned. All you have to do is execute. Time blocking also helps you be realistic. To-do lists often set you up for failure by cramming in more than you can humanly accomplish. But when you block time, you see the limits of your day. You can't schedule 15 hours of work into an 8-hour window, so you're forced to prioritize. You're forced to ask, what actually moves the needle? That clarity makes you more strategic and less reactive. And here's the secret weapon: time blocking doesn't have to be rigid. In fact, the best time blockers build in buffer time and flexibility. Life will throw curveballs, meetings run late, energy crashes, emergencies pop up. The goal isn't perfection, it's direction. Even if you don't follow your blocks perfectly, you'll accomplish far more than if you just tackled your day randomly. Time blocking isn't about controlling every minute. It's about honoring your priorities and creating intentional flow. The most successful people don't rely on willpower alone. They build systems that support focus. Time blocking is one of those systems. It turns your calendar into a weapon of productivity. It empowers you to design your day rather than drift through it. When you use time blocking consistently, you'll feel the difference, not just in what you accomplish, but in how centered and clear you feel. So stop relying on long, unchecked to-do lists that drain your energy. Start assigning purpose to your time. Treat your calendar like a sacred map of your priorities. Because when you block your time, you reclaim your focus. You stop reacting and start creating. And that shift simple but profound, can change the trajectory of your entire life. Time is the one resource that cannot be earned back. Money can be made again, opportunities can return, but once a moment is gone, it's gone forever. The most successful people don't have more time than you. They just protect it more fiercely, use it more intentionally, and respect it as their most valuable asset. They live by principles, like the 80-20 rule, time blocking, saying no without guilt, and letting go of perfectionism. Not because it's trendy, but because it's necessary. If you truly want to change your life, start with how you spend your hours. Your future isn't built in one giant leap. It's built in the consistent, intentional use of every single day. From now on, treat your time like the treasure it is. Don't give it away freely. Don't let it be stolen by distractions, by people who drain you, or by perfection that never arrives. Own your minutes, and you'll own your destiny.